What's up, guys? Trevor James here, bringing you another deck profile. Today I have for you a goat control deck profile, and before I actually go through this deck and people comment in the section below that I have a bunch of illegal cards in this deck, I want everybody to know that GOAT format, if you don't know, it's an actual format that basically takes place in the April 2005 ban list, and it's still going on to today. It's a really, really fun format. It's really, really interesting to play. There's tons of strategery in it, and there's no unfairness because everybody has very similar type of decks, and it's just very, very fun, and I've been really getting into it with my buddy Lee. So without further ado, this is GOAT Control, or my GOAT Control deck, and let's go through with it. So first off, we'll go with the monsters. So you have Blackluster Soldier, who was at 1 at the time. Obviously he's at 1 again, but back then he was at 1. You know, basically back then, this card, you really couldn't stop it. I mean, you could get over it with like a Mirror Force and stuff like that, but it was just an extremely powerful card. In late game, this thing would absolutely destroy you and literally OTK you in one turn. Next up, Jinzo, obviously, because traps were heavily ran, or just in general, you really want to stop back row cards, and Jinzo was the card to get over that, because back then, you couldn't really get over Jinzo very easily, and he just shuts down to your opponent's back row. So, awesome, awesome card. Or traps, at least. And then you have your third sacrifice, Air Knight Parshath. This dude, because of the fact that GOAT was so prevalent, or Scapegoat was so prevalent, Air Knight Parshath is great because he gets over their goats and deals 1900 damage to them, and then you get to draw a card. So he's an amazing card back then, and really, really fun to play. And then I run one Breaker. Also an amazing card. Gets over back row as well, because you summon him, pop one of your opponent's back row, he goes down to 1600, he's still a really good beater at that point. And then Xarion Universe, because once again, Scapegoats are played and other cards are played, and he gets over a lot of those cards as well. And then DD Warrior Lady, because DD Warrior Lady is a great card. Next up, I have Tribe Infecting Virus, because Tribe Infecting Virus, you summon it, and your opponent, if they have a bunch of Scapegoats on the field, or anything at that matter, you basically call one type, destroy that many on the field of that type. You know, how many were actually there, so you instantly, like, Scapegoats and stuff like that. So, really great card for that as well. And then, Injection Fairy Lily. I can't believe this card. It's just a really, really fun card. Pay 2,000, it goes up to 3k. Get over so many things back then, and deal tons of damage, too. It hurts you, but it hurts your opponent way more, and it's just really fun. And of course the fact that Sinister Serpent, before it was errated, mind you, Sinister Serpent, great card. I mean, you instantly just keep adding it back to your hand, and dishing it out, and adding it back, and it just became fuel for your hand every turn. And Sangan as well. One Sangan, you know, Sangan's a great card. That was before it was errated too, so as long as it was sent to your graveyard, doesn't matter how, you get a search. So, one of the best search cards back then. And then to get into the flip effects, because there's tons of them, double Magician of Faith, because it was at 2 at the time. You basically can add any spell that you use during the game. It was the only way that you could really add spells back to your hand. So you add it back to your hand, stuff like Graceful Charity and stuff, which was not illegal back then. And then double Magical Merchant. Magical Merchant, the same type of thing. You flip it, excavate, basically mill cards from the top of your deck until you draw into a spell or trap, add it to your hand. Great flip effect monster back then. Of course, a Morphine Jar, which definitely is not ran anymore because it's illegal. Great card, especially when you don't have a very good hand and you need to get cards back to your hand. Morphine Jar is there for you. Of course, it does it to the opponent too. And then double Tsukiyomi, because Tsukiyomi was amazing. Because you could flip it. It has to flip no matter what, so you summon it, has to flip something on the field. You could either target one of your flip monsters or one monster that you want to put face down. End of the turn, it goes back to your hand. So it's just an ongoing effect every single turn, and it's a great card. Or you could set it face down, opponent attacks into it, flip one of your opponent's monsters face down. Sometimes they won't even get over it anyway. That's it for the monsters. On to the spells. Double Scapegoat. I usually ran it at 3, but 3 honestly clogs. I know that's weird to say because it, you know, it's a protective card, but 3, it's not worth it. And then triple Metamorphosis, because this card is busted. It's completely illegal now, but back then it was not. It could be run at 3, and you'll see exactly what this card is for in a little bit. I don't run regular Polymerization, but Metamorphosis I run at 3. Double Book of Moon, because Book of Moon was at 2 at the time, and Book of Moon is too good of a card to not run. And then because of the fact you have Book of Moon and other things that flip your opponent's monsters face down, like Tsukiyomi, you run double Man of Crossout or Knock. This card is great because flip effects were so prevalent in these decks. You knock a flip effect monster, you remove it, and then if it's a flip effect, you then remove any other card in your opponent's deck that is that flip effect as well. It's the same monster, obviously. So Knock is a crazy great card. And then you run the Holy Trinity, Pot of Greed, Graceful Charity, and Delinquent Duo. These cards are obviously super illegal now. Delinquent Duo, you pay 1,000, get rid of one card in your opponent's hand randomly, and they pick one and get rid of it. Graceful Charity, you get a draw 3, discard 2. If you have like a Sinister Serpent, then you're getting a free draw. Sinister Serpent and Sanguine, basically. And then Pot of Greed, draw 2 cards. Holy Trinity, these cards are obviously super illegal now, but back then they were super, super good and legal. And then Heavy Storm, because Heavy Storm also illegal now, but not back then. Snatch Steal, because Snatch Steal is amazing too. Premature Burial, because Premature Burial was the only monster reborn you really had. Yes, you pay 100, but you get stuff back, like Engine Zone, stuff like that. So Premature Burial is really good. And then Mystical Space Typhoon was at 1, so 1 Mystical Space Typhoon, because you really need to kill back row. For traps, I run double Sakuretsu Armor, because Sakuretsu Armor back then was actually good. You attack and do it, destroy the opponent's monster. There really wasn't a lot of stuff that stopped that effect, so just a great card. 1 Mirror Force, because Mirror Force was so good back then. 1 Torrential, because Torrential is still good to this day. Dust Tornado, because like I said, you only have Heavy Storm and MST. Back row is very prevalent, so getting rid of it, even with a terrible card like Dust Tornado, you have to run it. And then 1 Ring of Destruction, because Ring of Destruction's Ring of Destruction. Still great to this day. So that's my actual regular deck, guys. Now to go over my extra deck, and one thing I'm going to explain to you guys is extra decks was not limited to 15, so I run a pretty big extra deck. Back then, you could have literally a limitless amount of extra deck. The first card that I run is Thousand Eyes Restrict. I know on the latest ban list, Thousand Eyes Restrict actually got put to 1. Normally it was illegal, but you could run it at 3 back then. And this card was so busted. And it's still really busted. And you can get it out with like instant fusion, stuff like that now. But being able to run it at 3 was great. So, 3,000 Eyes Restrict. For the level 3, we have Dragoness. Just weak card, but it's a level 3. There really wasn't a lot for fusions back then. Reason why I run a lot of fusions and have no polymerizations is because of Metamorphosis. I can literally create any of those cards with Metamorphosis. And then I don't even know what the regular version of this card is called, but I have Yugioh Deo Fugo Negro. Sometimes it's really funny when you get a different version of the card. This just happens to be that. It's a 1500 attack monster, and that's it. It's terrible, but in case you need to, it's there. Dark Balter the Terrible. This is where we're actually getting into good cards. This card was great back in the day. Obviously not too great now, but this card does shut down a lot of stuff. Fiend Skull Dragon. Another level 5 hitter. Good card. Reaper on the Nightmare. Once again, another really fun card, and just really fun. Dark Blade the Dragon Knight. Now we're into the 6s. Just a beater, and good effects. Ryu Senshin. That's a 7. So Ryu Senshin. Great card too. And Gatling Dragon. Because you could make it actually not... I mean, there's not really a lot of cards to make it, but it's there if you need to. So Gatling Dragon. And that's it from my Fusion deck. So I don't have all the Fusion cards yet. They're coming in the mail. But that's it for my Fusion. And then I just want to show you guys my tokens, because the fact that you can run Scapegoat and you run tokens are fun, and it's cool to run a bunch of different tokens. So I have a Link, which is cool. I have a Spider-Man. A lot of my tokens are made by Sophie the Token Chick. She's a really cool girl that makes tokens. You meet her at different events and stuff, like regionals and stuff like that here in San Jose. Deadpool. Master Chief. Sora. Jin Kisaragi. And Noctis from Final Fantasy 15. I thought he was Zach, and I made the mistake. Still a cool card, but I wish I'd grabbed Zach. I didn't realize it wasn't Zach. But yeah, guys, that is my deck, my goat control deck. Really, really fun deck. Hope you guys enjoyed that, and I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.